on the back side of our review, or on the second part of our review, let's get moving. We're going to split this guy into -1 times 16. We know that the 16 comes out as a 4 out of the radical, and the -1 comes out as an I. Number 11, same kind of deal there. The square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of -25, remember the 25 will come out as a 5, the -1 will come out as I. Number 12, this one, not the whole thing comes out, so we have to split it up into -1 times 4 times 5. The 4 comes out as a 2, the -1 comes out as an I, and the 5 stays under. Number 13, we are going to be subtracting these, so the first parenthesis just drops. The second one we need to distribute, so I get -11 and plus 5i. Let's put our like terms together. 8 and -11 gives me -3. 7i and 5i gives me 12i. Number 14. This one we are adding. So I'm going to drop my parentheses. Distributing a plus doesn't change any signs, so I'm going to leave it the same. Now put my like terms together. 12 and 8 gives me 20. 17i and -9i gives me positive 8i. For 15, we're multiplying in this case. See how that touches? So I have to distribute. I get -35i plus 60i squared. We know that I squared is equal to -1. We get 60 times -1 is -60 minus 35i. For number 16, we're going to need to FOIL this, so I get first times first is the square root of 36, outside times outside. Since they're conjugates, the outside, outside, and inside, inside are going to go away, so I'm not even going to do it. And I get 25i squared, and we know that I squared is equal to -1. -1 times -25 gives me 25 plus 6. Square root of 36 is 6, gives me 31. On this one, so on 17 here where it says to square something, I'm going to multiply it by itself. And foiling it out, I get 121 plus 77i plus 77i plus 49i squared. We know that I squared is equal to -1, and 121 minus 49 gives me 72. And then 77i and 77i gives me 154i. Number 18, to simplify this, we're going to multiply top and bottom by I, because 5s are okay in the bottom, i's are not okay. So when I do that, I get 8i over 5i squared. We know that I squared is -1, and we can simplify that to 8i over -5. Number 19, we have the same kind of deal with this one. Let's multiply top and bottom by I. But on the top, it's a binomial, so I'm going to end up foiling, or not foiling, distributing. So I get 7i plus 3i squared over 5i squared. We know that I squared is equal to -1, -1. And so when I simplify, I get -1 times 3 is -3 plus 7i all over -5. Now we can't leave it like this because we have to put it in the a plus bi format. So we have to split the fractions into 2, and I get -3 over -5 plus 7i over -5. Simplifying, negative divided by negative gives me positive, minus 7i over 5. Now, does it make a difference if I put the I here or put the I back here? Not really. 20. We have a binomial on the bottom, so we'll be multiplying by the complex conjugate. Remember, the complex conjugate is the same thing as the bottom with a different sign. And I need to FOIL on both the top and bottom. On the top, I get 24 minus 8i minus 6i plus 2i squared. On the bottom, I get 9 minus I squared. We know that I squared is -1, -1. And if I put -1 times the 2, I get -2. Plus the 24 gives me 22. -8i and -6i gives me -14i. And on the bottom, 9 minus -1, two negatives makes a positive, gives me 10. Now again, we need to split it into the a plus bi format. So I get 22 tenths minus 14 tenths I. And to simplify, because everything's divisible by 2, I'm going to write it as 11 fifths minus 7 fifths I. And that would be simplest form. Let's do 21 now. We know that I to the fourth is equal to 1. And if I take I to the fourth to the fifth power, that would be the same as I to the 20th times I squared. This would be 1 to the fifth power, which is the same as 1. And I squared is equal to -1, which is the same as 1 times -1 is -1. Here again, we know that I to the fourth is equal to 1. I to the fourth power would give me I to the 16th times I gets me to the 17th power. This whole thing is equal to 1 times I, which is I. 23. We know, because I taught, that you can't do any multiplication, division, subtraction, multiplication, any of that stuff when there's a negative under the radical. So I have to move that I out front before I can do anything. Negative out front, I comes out front, square root of 2. I divided by I is the same as 1. Doesn't change anything. And then I'm going to write this time as a fraction under a radical. I can simplify that to the square root of 100, which is 10. The 1 times anything is just that anything. On 24, we have a binomial times binomial, so we're going to FOIL. First times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, and last times last. Remembering that I squared is -1, I get -20 times -1 is positive 20. 20 plus 33 gives me 53. And -44 plus 15 gives me -29i. A plus bi. And my last one here is a complex conjugate one. Let's multiply both top and bottom by 7 minus 2i, 7 minus 2i, and we're going to have to FOIL the top and the bottom. On the top, I get 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times -2i is -6i. Inside times inside gives me -35i. And last times last is 10i squared. On the bottom, when I FOIL, I get 49 minus 4i squared. We know that I squared is equal to -1. I squared is equal to -1. Simplifying here, I get 21 minus 10 is 11. -6i and -35i gives me -41i. And on the bottom, -4 times -1 is positive 4, plus 49 gives me 53. Can't leave it like this because we need it in the real part and the imaginary part. Good luck on your test.